Welcome to Fit in Fitness, the podcast that proves movement isn't just for the gym, it's for life. I'm Carly Fouth, also known as Fit Fun Carly. I'm a cancer survivor, fitness mentor, and founder of the Fit in Fitness method. This all started from my chemo chair, where I began sharing stories to bring hope and resilience to people going through cancer. Now I'm taking it further, expanding beyond my own breast cancer fight to highlight people from all walks of life who've used movement and mindset to overcome life's biggest curveballs. Whether you're facing illness, lost, or just feeling stuck, these are stories of grit, joy, and the small, powerful steps that can change everything. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Fit in Fitness podcast. Today's episode is a little different because it's a real live chat that so many parents will relate to, and it is about kids and sports, which definitely still fits under the Fit in Fitness umbrella. I'm here with my good friend, Jen Russo, and we're diving into the sometimes chaotic, often emotional world of kids' sports. We're going to talk about the pressure to keep up, how to know what's right for your kid, and how to silence all the outside noise, the opinions, the comparisons, and all that sideline chatter, and just focus on raising happy, confident kids who enjoy what they do. So enjoy the show. Welcome to the Fit in Fitness podcast. I think this episode we've broken records. We've started and stopped and started and stopped. But we decided that it would be better for us to have a conversation face-to-face because we actually have had discussions about what we're about to talk about when Jen came over for coffee. So welcome to Fit in Fitness, Jen Russo.
Thank you.
So I will say that we did try to do this the normal way for the podcast where she was in her house and I was in mine, but we're going to blame the platform, Riverside, shame, I'm going to say it, that it just wasn't working out. So we're hoping today works better. I actually think this is a more natural way to have a conversation. It's also easier to edit. So I'm excited about that. Yay. So what we're going to talk about today is something that, like I said, we have discussed before. It's something that is on my mind a lot, and that is kids and sports. And that does fit under the Fit in Fitness umbrella because sports is fitness. And I think sports are a wonderful way to get your kids exercising. It's a fun way to get them to move. And it also can teach them a lot of lessons about life as far as like having a job and having to work for a boss. I mean, you have a coach and a team. So there's so many life lessons in sports. But I think what can happen sometimes is there's a lot of pressure on kids in sports these days, and sometimes that pressure can carry over to the parents as well. So today we're going to be talking just two moms who we both have boys, and Jen has a girl too. I have two boys who play. Does Hadley play soccer?
Yep.
Okay, so Hadley plays soccer too. So in regards to soccer, both our kids are very passionate about the game. I think Jen probably knew a lot more about soccer than I did coming into this stage of my life. I still feel like I know nothing, but I am the best cheerleader in the world. Still learning.
I think it's better that way sometimes as a parent.
I think so. I think the more you know, sometimes it can be really hard to deal with. Yeah. So the first thing I want to talk about is what happens, and Jen, maybe you can give your opinion a little bit of when you have a kid or kids who are very passionate about a sport and they want to just do that sport. I think there is and I totally agree with kids needing to try more than just one sport, but I also believe that there are some kids who are just driven in one sport. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Parker in relation to this and what you've had to deal with on that front?
So Parker's my 13-year-old, my son, my oldest. He has always only done soccer. When I say that, when he was very young, like say up until about first, maybe even second grade, maybe like, up to COVID.
Yeah.
We would attempt to have him try other things. And he just, for one reason or another, the atmosphere was never right for him, whether it was another team sport that he would just refuse to go to altogether. We tried a lot of individual sports. I was saying this before to you off camera, like he's just always been, and everyone knows Parker as a joyful kid. Also very intense about what he likes to do and what he's involved with, even when he would like play with cars when he was little. So soccer became that thing for him where it filled him enough, where it really filled his spirit. It allowed him to grow, be motivated in a very healthy way. we got a lot of backlash for
Mhm.
that, allowing him to just we would try it in town. He would even come home from, like, town soccer in 1st grade, and he would be like, "We didn't get to play soccer today," because it was just a lot of corralling kids, which
Mhm.
that is a very great place for kids to be. Like, town
Yep.
soccer, I'm all for it. It is a great outlet for kids. It wasn't right for my kid. He went to one, like, trial club thing, and, like, the coach was just so commanding, and he just had him from the start,
Mhm.
and he always wanted to go back and go back and go back. So we've just always kind of let him lead the way
Yep.
and just really being in touch with him and what he liked and
Yeah.
what was keeping him happy.
Yeah, I think from our experience too, it was very similar. I'll speak about Riker, my older son, who's 16. We always tried to get him in various sports. He's a goalkeeper, but he always looked like a goalkeeper playing every other sport, like even basketball. He looked like he was going up for a save. So he stuck with it for a little while. But again, it was always soccer. And I remember getting comments from people saying that isn't this too much too soon for the focusing on just one thing? And I think it's important to remember, number one, that it is really not someone's place to comment on another person's child or situation because you haven't walked in their shoes. And I used to get so frustrated and a little bit nervous too, because I mean, Riker is my oldest kid. I don't know. I didn't know anything. I still feel like I don't know a lot about being a mom. You learn as you go, but always having this feeling like you're doing something wrong, like you're
Mhm.
not exposing them to enough things, and that you are. I think there's this perception that when you have a kid like that, it's the parents that are driving the bus. And as you mentioned, that communication with your kid is so important because there are kids who want to drive the bus. And I almost think it's a disadvantage to the child if you're stopping the bus when he wants to press the gas. I mean, if you're seeing the total picture of your child and as long as he's happy and he's in it for the right reasons and you have the communication down, I think that that's the best thing you can do.
And I think that is the main point of it too. Um, Is that other parents wanna have an opinion on
Mhm.
this. I mean, I've had people, like, I've seen at a holiday party who I didn't know, and they would hear my name, talk to me, like, "Oh, we have kids in the same grade. What's your son's name?" "Oh, I've heard of your son." And then
Mhm.
immediately dive into, they really should be doing more things. And I just walk away from the conversations because I have nothing else
Yeah.
and they haven't walked in our shoes. They don't know the mental well-being, the state in our family, the bandwidth that we can handle. I also have a unique perspective because I was a kid who was my parents. I love my parents, but it was
Mhm.
you're going to do multiple sports. Sports have seasons, and what I wanted to do was
Mhm.
just play soccer. So I always have in the back of my head, is this for us or is this for Susan down the street? Which is
Yes.
this thing
Yep.
I've created.
I like that.
Like, okay, so he should be, by statistics, moving his body in other ways, in which my kids move their bodies in other ways. It's
Yep.
just not in organized sports. Yes, the quantity is obviously very misbalanced. But, if I force them to move their bodies in other ways by being in organized other sports, it's taking away from where their happiness was and wants to be. But we're satisfying Susan down the street.
Right. I love that analogy. I think we all can get caught up in
Yeah, I don't know a Susan, by the
satisfying
way. Like,
Susan
she's
down.
someone I made up. There's
We
no
all have a
Susan down the
Susan down
street.
the
But right, find your Susan down the street in your mind.
Yeah.
Who is this for?
Yes.
And it's been really important for us to talk with our kids to set goals, but not in like that competitive kind of way of just like, what do they want out of this? Because you're going to go and you're going to run into Susan down the street, or you're going to be at practice and you're going to come home and you're going to see something and you're going to come home spiraling. And that's when you're going to start to think, are we doing too much? Are we not doing enough? Should they be involved in this? Because
Yep.
it's pressure in both ways as they get older.
Oh,
To do
100%.
more, to do less, to do different. You're not doing enough. So having those goals of what they want to always come back to, and it's always evolving, it's always a conversation, is really important for the parents to
Yes.
continue to come back to that, to have that sight of, who is this for? Is this helping the goal that he has ultimately for himself?
Well, I think you bring up a good point because what I'm starting to notice and have been noticing for years is that a lot of parents are viewing their kids in sports as almost a way to relive their life. And you brought up a good point about what you went through with
Mhm.
your parents, and you're using it almost like, I remember what that felt like. I don't want the same thing for my kid, even though you love your parents. I'm no, not I
It's just my
totally see
thing. We
that
had a
point
whole
too.
nother life going on, a whole nother
I think
dynamic
times
that
were
no one
different.
could have.
Times were different.
Right.
But I think this opens up another door of like what I see on the sidelines as well, as some parents are just so hard on their kids, and it almost seems like they are driving the bus, and I don't even know if the kid wants to be on the
Yeah.
bus.
We see a lot
Yeah.
of
So
that.
I think, and I think that's something that has evolved in our culture
Mhm.
with club sports, is this like ultra competitive atmosphere that, I mean, naturally happens. And there's nothing wrong with that as long as it's not taken too far. But then I wonder sometimes who really wants to play the sport. Have you run into that?
Absolutely, and I think as they get older,
Yeah.
it starts to be very
Yep.
aware of the parents who are on the sideline pushing, the look on those kids' face that are on the
Mm-hmm.
field.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we have a mom who's a photographer or as a hobby. So
Mm-hmm.
she'll take
Yep.
pictures, and almost every picture that comes through of Parker, his like smile is ear
Yeah.
to ear. I don't think anyone will question it.
Yeah.
And I look at those pictures and I'm like, we're doing something right. But you do see a lot of that, of the parents, whether it's, and I try and have the perspective of, I don't want those people judging where I'm at with allowing him to be all in. So I
Yes.
try not to, I have perspective that I don't live in their walls either, but you do see it, the intensity on the
Yeah.
sidelines from parents. And that's again, just like, you have to have thick skin in this for your kids. And sometimes, a lot of times, that thick skin means shutting your mouth and just being supportive on the
More
sidelines
people
in that
need.
way.
I will share an experience I had this past weekend. And those of you listening to this episode, a lot of you have probably heard it and you're probably like, enough with this story, Carly. But I was appalled that I was at my younger son's game, and he's a goalkeeper and he was having a very great game. And a parent of the other team was trying to get into my son's head by telling him that he's terrible with his feet. But he was having a great game with his feet. But for a parent, and let's just set the stage here, they're 11.
Yeah.
So I think there needs to be some awareness from parents, not to be too direct, of how you are communicating in support of your child in regards to what you're saying about the other kids on the team. And sometimes I think people get so caught up in it that they don't even realize the example they're setting. Or, as I politely, or maybe not so politely, told the man to be careful because the goalkeeper's mom was sitting right here. And then he got a little quieter.
I was gonna ask, did he
Yeah,
react to that?
because I'm not one to I don't think I would ever get in a fight, but I can't sit there and listen to that, because I can tell you I would never, ever, 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 ever say something about someone else's kids when they are playing sports, because I know all the hard work and the dedication that goes into it. Even if someone is having a bad game or is bad with their feet, why the heck as an adult would you bring that out in somebody
It's the
else's
whole
kid?
thing of like breaking spirit. Like, what?
Yes.
They're children. And how would you feel someone doing that to your kid? And I'm sure they'll say, well, we have experienced that. Well, then those parents need to get in check too. But yes, it's a huge problem on the sidelines.
It's
I had something really like passionate to say as you were talking.
I'm like, I am bad at this. And like, I just get so mad. And I'm just going to keep bringing up points of things that bothers me. I also have experienced sometimes when parents get very disappointed that their kids have not made a certain team, and it's all part of the same. Let's just say there's an A team and a B team. And let's just say kids switch from the A team and the B team all the time. And let's just say some kid.
I know this road. If you're in club soccer, you know
Yeah.
this road. This is a very real.
And let's just say that there's really not a big difference between the A team and the B team, but there is an A and there's a B. And let's just say that one parent or a couple parents don't send their kids to a tournament or a game because their kids made the B team and they think they should be on the A team. I find this very infuriating, because I think that is just, obviously there's disappointment in sports. Sports are competitive. There is a winner and there is a loser, and there shouldn't be trophies for every single person that's playing. Like, that's part of the sports
But this is part of
atmosphere.
the lesson and the
It's part of
message
the
that they're
lesson.
sending those kids when that happens. This was Parker. I mean, he is like soaring high right now, but he was very much so a bubble kid.
Yeah.
When he was younger. And we approached everything, A, B, on the bubble, not on the bottom of the line, in the same way, so that he could approach it and we could see how he was going to approach it and how
Yes.
he is going to react to this. Because if he drops down, is that maybe the right place for him to grow from? Or
Right.
does he take the opportunity to step up and to learn? And like, that was again where
It's
we
a
let
life lesson.
him drive the bus. That is what they can gain from these sports, and it's the parents losing sight of those goals, and I don't have a fix for it. Into this podcast.
Yeah,
Fix your
and
ways.
just and know that, like, if we're not trying to shame anybody. I mean,
No.
we've all done things that maybe we look back and we're like, "Oh, that's not the best decision." I think I was speaking from me maybe not wanting my kid to feel hurt because nobody wants to see their kids hurt.
Mhm.
I hate that feeling. As a mom, that's the worst thing you can experience. But I also think that it's such an important lesson to teach your kids because then you're giving them permission to not be a team player. If you're on a team, you're on a team
Mhm.
and you play the best you can, whoever you're with. And what message does that send to the rest of the kids on the B team?
Yep.
That they're less than.
Yep.
And that's just not a team environment. Use that as an opportunity to work hard to get back to where you want to go.
Mhm.
But don't discount the experience of playing on the lower team. I just think as parents, we need to step up to the plate and get comfortable with being uncomfortable when our kids are struggling because there's a bigger lesson there.
Right. Absolutely. And if many of these parents' goals are to get their kids to professional level.
Oh,
And if
yes.
you're trying to get your kid to professional level, then they need to learn those lessons. They need to be
You're
able to
not doing
stay
them any
in it.
favors.
Right. And being competitive about their whatever, their U12 or their U10, their U11 game in that way, those things don't matter.
No,
Those things don't matter. And
no.
I guess sometimes people don't have that outlook because they don't have the older kid who's gone through the process. I'm very fortunate with the second kid.
Right.
I think it's easier to have the trust the process
Yes,
view, whether it goes up, whether it goes down.
I agree.
Um, and you wish you could instill that. But if it's a long game to get them to play Division I soccer, to get them to play in college at all, to get them to play professional, just to get them to be on a top team when they're older, this is developmental.
Yeah.
So to be upset about someone else's choices, and that's also life too. Someone's going to be making a choice where you get selected for a job or you don't, and it's all going to be subjective, and you have to march on and you have to still show up and be
And
your
shine.
best. And that's part of what we love about the sport for them. It's given them those challenges. We've been able to see how they react and try to decide if they're in the right place for them or not. But when parents lose sight of it and just make it all about the sidelines and winning the game,
Or this like whole going pro thing. As somebody who is a mom of a kid who is like on a level, he's worked so hard and he has driven the bus himself. And we thought he was going to burn out. And there has never been any push for that except coming from him. And we're there to support. I really think that if it's the parent pushing a kid to go pro, okay, maybe it worked in like Serena Williams
Mhm.
with whatever his name is, the dad.
yeah.
Yeah, he
I watched
pushed.
the movie.
Yeah, I love that movie. And I like that story. And he was like a tough dad who really pushed
It
his
does work
daughters.
for
And it
some.
does work for some, but most of the time it doesn't work. So for you to be putting all that pressure, let's just say when your kid is 11 or younger, for like, you want to go pro, you want to get into college and play a sport. It's okay to plant the seed, but to start putting the pressure on and putting those ideas in kids' heads that like that's the only reason you're playing
Right.
sports. Okay, I'm not an expert, but I think a lot of the times it leads to burnout
Mhm.
and downfall when that is not, no parent wants to do that to their kid on
Mhm.
purpose, but just being more mindful of the way you're approaching
Mhm.
your kid's relationship to the sport and then taking a step back and being like, is this for them or is this for me
Yeah.
to fulfill dreams that I never fulfilled
Right.
as a child?
And look, so many kids, they're going to say at the age 10 that their goal is to become a professional athlete.
Yes.
It's natural.
And that's awesome.
Great.
Great to have
Where we take that goals is to dial in, like, what does that really mean?
great
How
point.
are you going to achieve growth to have that maybe be something to work toward? Like, what does it really mean? So when we set those goals,
Yes.
we're not coming back to my kid's got to be a professional soccer player. We're coming back to he wants to play like this amount of time.
Yeah.
He wants to have this amount of really dialing into their goals. Again, for us to keep coming back to this
Yes.
for us or is this for Susan?
Yes. I
With that
love
being-
the
you love
Susan.
Susan?
I'm going to be like,
I
I'm
love
going to say
Susan.
that all
Okay.
the time.
So-
Susan down the street.
To take that back to parents who don't understand this that you meet at Christmas parties,
Yes.
when they say what we've also heard is they're not going to be professionals.
Good.
So why
I'm glad you
bother
brought
with the
this up.
time and money?
That's a good flip side.
And they talk like it's a poor investment. Like, to invest in my kid's happiness. Have you seen my kid thriving and doing well in every aspect of his life? He is healthy. He is regulated.
Yep.
Mentally.
I love that you brought that up.
I mean, it's if he stops playing in high school, nothing will have been lost.
Mhm.
if he goes professional, nothing will have been, like, lost. I mean, I don't know how to respond when people say that. It's another one of those conversations or that I just walk away from.
Yeah, and it's best to walk away because it goes back again that you don't know the whole story. I mean, I've had so many people make comments, not usually to my face because I think they'd probably be a little
Mm.
afraid to, but through other people that like, oh, they're just pushing him. Is it don't you think that's a little excessive for him to be doing that and not doing that? And it's like, honestly, me personally, sure, I wouldn't want to do it,
Mhm.
but it's not my journey, it's not my life. And for me to say, hey, you're not living the life I think you should lead or I had imagined for you. So I really want you to cut back. And then to take that, the thing that they love so much away from them
Yeah.
is just as bad as this perceived pushing that everyone talks about.
So when I was playing multiple sports as a kid, one of the sports I had to play, I say, was basketball. And I mean, I did this because it's like, this is what I do. This is what I'm supposed
Yeah.
to do. This is what's acceptable. It didn't give me those outlets. And what happened is that I ended up looking for other outlets that were not healthy, that were
Mm-hmm.
very not what my parents wanted me to find
Mm-hmm.
outlets in. I also started almost like faking
Mm-hmm.
injuries and embellishing on things because like I didn't want to be doing this. I had more injuries in basketball that took me away from soccer. And I remember those things. I had a lot of injuries in soccer, but I didn't pin them in my brain as
Mm-hmm.
negatives.
Yep. That's a
You know,
good point.
so I have, and again, the whole trying to like live based on we all live based on our habits and our
Mm-hmm.
experiences in the
Mm-hmm.
past. Trying to attach them and like tread lightly with how you're relating them to your kids is a whole nother parenting challenge.
So many
But I
challenges.
do have that. I do have that perspective. My husband specialized in soccer, probably from middle school on,
Mm-hmm.
younger, much younger, and he got very intense with it where he was traveling abroad. They were traveling all the time for soccer, more similar to what our kids deal with.
Mm-hmm.
So and we both played right through college. I left college feeling like I was just getting started and like it was done. I
Mm-hmm.
have that perspective that I'm never going to live down. So then I also have to be like, okay, am I pushing them from
Great,
am I
but that
pushing
you're
them from
aware. You're aware of it.
but Paul, my husband, I will say, all that you did, like, did you ever feel like it was too much? Do you regret any of it? And he said, no. I mean, he
Yeah.
is still all in it with the kids. He said there was one season he felt like he wasn't in the right place.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
that's learning and they got him in a new
Yeah.
place. So I don't see that as a negative. But so we have that interesting site in our household that we kind of come back to too. No one else at a Christmas party who I don't know who's going to give me unsolicited advice knows that about our family. None of them.
And that's the thing that we struggle, well, I guess struggle with. But like I said before, I know nothing about soccer. My husband, you would think that he was pushing both boys to be goalkeepers because he was a goalkeeper and he played in college and he played pro and then he was a goalkeeper coach and he knows so many people. So you'd think that this was like his dream come true, that both his sons are these stellar goalkeepers. But if you ask him, or if you see him at a game, I'm the one jumping up and down and acting like a nervous wreck. And he's just like he never has any emotion. And he says, if they want to quit tomorrow, they can quit tomorrow. He said that from day one. And you know why that I think that is? I think it's because he's all set with his journey
Hmm.
and he's happy with his life. So he just wants the kids to be happy. And as a result, there's no pressure. And as a result, they want to keep going. And if they didn't, they could stop.
Hmm.
So I think it all comes back too to like, this is not a shaming thing at all, like I said before, because I have work I have to do on so many things. But taking a step back and being like, why am I acting this way? What really is going on inside of me that's making me put so much emphasis on this? And as we talked about, like with you, you've done a lot of self-reflection. Just be aware. I mean, maybe still you're aware and then you're still going to have this extreme desire for your kids to go pro or go to a certain college, and that's fine. But at least be aware of why you're doing what you're doing. And I think the bottom line here, I think what we really wanted to get across is that I think we just need to be respectful of one another and understand that we don't know another person's life. We don't know where they're coming from. We don't know the shoes that they've walked in, just like we don't know the shoes you've walked in. But have an understanding that we shouldn't be making so many judgments of like what's too much and what's not enough and what's right for you may not be right for me. What's right for me may not be right for you. But I also think too, just to take a step back and remember these are kids. And if you're like you can treat your kid the way you want, but don't let that carry over to other people's kids because it's none of your it's really none of your business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we hear a lot of the other thing to add on to that,
Yeah.
aside from just people, saying the whole pro thing and whatnot, a lot of, well, studies show.
Oh,
But
studies
like,
show.
not a
Studies
study.
show.
You know where those studies come from? People with bad experience who have talked up. So I want to
There are
gather all
so
the
many
information.
studies.
Some of them are valid. I mean, the injuries, you know what?
Cite it.
The injury studies too, you know what they come from? People have been injured. Yes,
Yes.
of course there's a raise in it. Yes, there's a raise in how much athletics kids are doing just in general.
There's a study for everything.
There's a study for everything. There's not much for the kids who are perfectly happy and thriving.
You should start a study.
I know. This is what I say. All the positive
You wait.
experiences. Speak up. But
I
my
love
kid's not a study. Yes, you can look at the risks, and like some jobs are riskier than others.
Yep.
That's also a teaching in this.
Life
too.
is a risk.
Some people want to be firefighters. Some people want to be accountants.
Yep.
Okay. The physical risks are just different. Something just made happy by different things. And they should be allowed that. And they should learn this. And you know what? If soccer ends tomorrow too, my kids are also seeing that there's a whole worldly piece of this where they are connected to one of our good friends has worked for the revolution. Not playing soccer.
Right.
Since we got out of college, they think the guy's a celebrity.
I love that.
And they have that connection to like this life where he's supporting his kids, working, doing his dream. There's a whole nother side to it. They walk through the houses and they're connected with like people from all different trees.
There's so much.
Just let them be respectful and let the kids have this life and trust that the parents are always doing the best that they can for their kids. And and if you disagree with that, just keep doing the best that you can for your kids.
That's excellent advice. The one thing I want to leave on too is I thought of this too after my whole cancer journey, not to bring that up, but I do find that it taught me to live for each day. So don't think about the future. Don't think about the what ifs. What if this happens? What if that happens? So our whole family now lives on the like one day at a time basis. So like, are we enjoying soccer today? Great. Are we going to be worried about an injury that may happen tomorrow? No, because is it happening today? No. So let's take it one day at a time. If you're happy in the day that you're in, you just keep plugging forward and not think about the what ifs or if you're doing too much or blah, 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 blah. Just live for the day and try to get as much enjoyment and be grateful that your kids are out there and your kids are having a good time and you get to, there's so much to be grateful about sports. Even just staying in the moment at the game instead of shouting at other people's children, you can enjoy the leaves and get a nice cup of coffee.
Less about the studies, more about the mental health.
Yes, we'll end on that. Well, Jen, thank you. I feel like we could talk a bit about this. Yeah. Every time I have something to say. Every time something happens, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have something to tell you that just adds fuel to the fire for this podcast episode.
But that support system is really important.
Yes, you need people that understand what you're going through and that you can be honest with and there's no judgment. So thanks, Jen.
Thank you for having me.
This is so fun.
You.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for joining me on Fit in Fitness. My hope is that every episode inspires you to see movement as medicine for your body, mind, and spirit. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please follow the show, share it with a friend, and keep moving forward, one step, rep, or breath at a time. Until next time, keep fitting in fitness wherever life takes you.